this word clean is much bandied around. Can you give us a little bit of what it means when you think of clean technology? What does that mean? Arthur, why don't you start us off?
Sure. Clean technology, that means that not pollute our planet in the way that we get used to. Mm-hmm. So there are much more new materials that might be used in new technologies, in products like UJET, for example, that might affect in the world in a better way that the products that were developed in 10, 15, or 20 years ago. So,
do you think it's a reaction against sort of the fossil fuel world that we're coming out of? Do you think that's where this comes from, or is it broader than that, Matteo?
I think it's broader than that. I mean, if you think about fossil fuels, especially oil and gas, that's only relatively recent. Oil, we started really using it about 100 years ago. Gas is even more recent. A lot of gas used to be flared. But the problem is if environments go way back to the middle of 1800s, and even earlier than that. I mean, if you think about some of the early industrial chemicals, they replaced actually human-derived or animal-derived chemicals that were even worse. We used to use urea to tan leather, and we all know where urea comes from, right? That was a major source of pollution. In London used to be a very polluted city in the early 1800s. Of course, we were using a lot of coal and wood to make energy, but it's before what we think about the fossil fuel era. So, and I think, if you think about what we do now, if you think about the total energy used on the world, it's equivalent of each one of us having about 20 horses working for us 24 hours a day. Yeah. Can you imagine how much pollution that would
I think it sounds a little more fun, though.
Well, it would be a lot more fun, but it's for most of the time, you got to clean the horses, yeah. Right? So I think what it means, we're trying to get cleaner and cleaner, meaning reduce the pollution that we generate to achieve the goals that we want to achieve.
Yeah. Now, tell us a little bit about how Sol does this, because you're making perovskite solar cells as your main business, and we're already at huge scale making silicon solar cells. So is there a difference between the production? Is there a difference in the way they work that you can tell us about?
Sure. In our company, it's a startup company that we started about 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Today, it's 30 scientists from 10 different countries, and what we are working on, it's perovskite-based solar modules. Except interchange of silicon to perovskite, we change the whole structure of the module and the manufacturing process. Yeah. In the silicon panels, you need high temperature and big money for the whole factory. In our process, you need a big printer because we are printing by inkjet printer our modules. That might be flexible, that might be very thin, and you can see that it works from the artificial lights.
Yeah, I mean, these are very strong floodlights. I mean,
yeah, but here it's pretty dispersed, and you can imagine that the sunlight is much stronger. So the overall efficiency of the perovskite modules are calculated to be higher than silicon modules. Yeah. Except those new features that are, implement this technology into the way that wasn't possible for the silicon panels. Yeah. For example, high building facades. You can implement it directly to the high buildings, and the whole surface you can switch into the photovoltaic farm, for example.
Now, perovskite's been around for 10 years. When was it discovered?
Actually, it was discovered because perovskite is some kind of crystal structure, and it was discovered in the end of 19th century.
Okay, so I'm a bit off.
Yeah, but in this particular implementation in photovoltaic modules.
As a cell, yeah.
Yeah, as a photovoltaic cell. It's known since 2003.
Okay.
And since 2014, it's a massive growth in its efficiency. Yeah. and the laboratory efficiency is equal to silicon modules
Right.
within last 4 years.